Ayog, sir, has been a key driver of Make in India, Startup India and Incredible India campaigns. Sir has been the chairman of Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor Development Corporation and secretary of DIPP India. Ladies and gentlemen, sir has been the recipient of Economic Times Policy Change Agent of the Year Award, Bloomberg TV Personality of the Year Award, amongst many more. We are deeply honored to have such an esteemed guest amongst us today. I hereby request Mr. Amitabh Kant to address the gathering here at UP Climate Change Conclave 2021.
So I'm delighted to participate in the UP Climate Change Conference. Debating the term climate change since late 1990s, changing climatic trends and the subsequent impacts are not new to the world. Besides scientists and environmentalists, local people have also started experiencing the wrath of climate change. Erratic rainfall patterns, extensive droughts, extreme heat waves, and intense storms are some of the instances of changing climate which have its impact on economic, social, and environmental fabric of the world. In the last decade, weather-related disasters affected around 4.1 billion people, leaving them homeless and in vulnerable condition. India, while aiming to be a $5 trillion economy, aims to mitigate the climate change impact strategically. Because India is one of the third most vulnerable countries, and our economic losses due to climate change will be very high. It is estimated that they will be about, in 2018 itself, there was a loss of 2.7 lakh crore, about 0.35% of GDP. Meanwhile, the World Bank report also stated that climate change will shave off 2.8% of India's per capita GDP by 2050. Furthermore, climate change will increase the stress on the country's natural ecosystems, agricultural output and freshwater resources, while also causing escalating damage to infrastructure. This will have severe consequences for countries' food, water and energy security and public health. In all, climate change mitigation and adaptation actions are undeniably important to reduce CSG emissions, while meeting very important to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, while meeting the target to limit the temperature at 2 degrees centigrade as per commitments made under the Paris Agreement. Here, India's commitment on mitigation and adaptation actions has led to landmark achievements. India recognizes the urgency of strong climate actions in this decade to keep the world on track to reach the temperature goals of the Paris Agreement while managing to push green, resilient and inclusive recovery. Taken together, India's mitigation actions speak of the enormous effort that the country is undertaking through its own resources without any significant support from developed countries in terms of climate finance, technology transfer of capacity building. India's contribution to global emissions, both cumulatively and on an annual basis, are well below its equitable share of the global carbon budget by any criterion of equities. India's historical utilization of carbon space during the period 1850 to 2019 is 51.94 gigatons CO2 emission, which is a mere 1.8% of total carbon space at 1.5 degree centigrade warming scenario. Uttar Pradesh, with approximate population of 20.42 crores, is an important and significant state to fill national food grain basket. The state is a major producer of wheat, rice, pulses, sugarcane, potato, vegetables and milk in the country. Being an agriculture economy, Uttar Pradesh is likely to be impacted by climate change events. Climate change will have varied implications on different regions of Indian subcontinent, increasing water in some regions while reducing expected water availability in another. These impacts can still be felt in the state with the wrath of drought almost in 3 years in western part and once in 5 years in eastern part. Hence, the need is to plan, prepare state to be more resilient towards climate change impacts while promoting climate resilient agriculture, encouraging the renewable energy and conserving the managing water resources to tackle extreme flood and drought situations. I understand the major components for devising climate change mitigation and adaptation projects is finance and relevant technology. Besides the finance promised by developed countries under the Copenhagen Accord to developing countries, India is trying to get better finance and adopt domestic mitigation and adaptation projects through its own domestic policy. And Uttar Pradesh has a huge potential to utilize some of these resources. The National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change, its flagship fund for finance adaptation, has a budget quite substantial, 350 crores for the 12th five-year plan, and therefore NABARD has played a very pivotal role in implementing climatic solutions that can be utilized, and several fundings from international sources can be utilized. There are various 40 climate projects underway with a total financial outlay of 1,822 crore in Uttar Pradesh. Here the government of Uttar Pradesh initiated two projects: ecosystem services based adaptation to climate change in Bundelkhand region and climate resilience through crop residue management with assistance of rupees 20 crores and certain share of rupees 100 from adaptation funds. Besides this, there are several central government policies and missions which can be explored to extract finance for climate change mitigation and adaptation projects. I would request the state government to take action on moving towards electric mobility and providing a great shift towards battery operated two-wheelers and three-wheelers in the next few years. And Niti Aayog will be very happy to assist the state government in this regard. Similarly, I would request the state government to adopt zero-based natural farming, which will be a big help in the context of adapting to climate change, so that there is lesser use of water and lesser use of fertilizer. Thirdly, it's important to understand that valuations of companies will go up only if they go digital and they go green. And Niti Aayog will be very happy to partner with the private sector of Uttar Pradesh to assist them in going green. We are here, Niti Aayog is here to partner the government of Uttar Pradesh in all its endeavors and assist and support it. I would also like to congratulate the Honorable Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh in organizing this gathering of eminent experts to set a discourse on climate change and its related impacts to prepare the state in a better manner. This is a very big initiative, and Niti Aayog will be always willing to partner the state in making a quantum jump forward in all issues of climate change and making the state completely go green. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Greatly appreciated.
So while I was just jotting down or I was just listening to certain of our, some of our earlier speakers, I just thought, why don't I change the way what I had thought of, what I would be discussing. So I just jotted down some 7 or 8 points, and I think I will just pick up from where our chairman left off. One very simple issue whenever we talk about the institutions, financial institutions, especially and climate finance. Sir has very nicely brought out the relevance and the need for involvement of financial institutions. But what about financial institutions also? Here is what I would like to actually share with you is a very recent survey that was taken up by Reserve Bank of India just in the starting of this year. And they had obtained the feedback from the chief risk officers of all the banks in India. And almost about 91% of the chief risk officers pointed out that climate change is one of the top emerging risks that is going to affect the financial sector in the coming 5 years. Now this is something, and again, all of us are aware that RBI also comes out with financial stability reports. The July report of 2020, if you can just look at it, it points out that climate change is one of the ascending risks that is going to affect the financial sector. And obviously it is the financial sector, not only the financial sector that is affected, it is also the economic, because if the financial institutions that are serving this entire. Now, where do all these findings come from? We just try to correlate the findings, we just simply try to probably come to one simple thing, that all these findings are based on actual, what I would say is risk assessment that have been carried out by banks. But for what sectors? These are all for big industries, mostly coal-based industries or steel industries. But coming to the economy of India, it's mostly agriculture. And bulk of the lending for agriculture, and especially the micro, small and medium enterprises, we don't go into this much in-depth appraisal. So, where does all this leave the banks? If you look at banks, banks are used to actually expecting risks over either the financial year or through the business cycle. But when we talk about climate change, neither we can predict the severity with specific volumes, nor the time it is going to hit. And it is here, that's what we call it as a risk, which is a physical risk, which also has the potential to become financial risk. So how do we address these issues? Being at NABARD, I am also a faculty, and I am also my colleague also pointed out, we are also having a Center for Climate Change here. Recently we have taken up a study, and that was this study was actually trying to find out the feedback from different banks as to how they are looking at green financing, or to what extent are they aware of green financing. And the findings I was just shared with the major highlight that came out was banks were already doing green financing, but they were not aware that it was green financing. Now why is this? One very simple reason for this is I don't have a very clear-cut definition as to what green finance is in the Indian perspective. There are no guidelines which say like this activities will come for green financing. Even if you look at RBI's priority sector lending circulars started off in May 2012, wherein solar energy was supposed to be green financing, and that was counted under priority sector lending. 2015, this was extended to all non-conventional energy resources. But beyond that, we are still set up at that point. Based on this study, and I would just like to conclude. Convert this into an opportunity by actually, and this is why I said I just changed the way I was just going to share my thoughts. Just in the previous session that we had heard about science, evidence, and then coming to solutions. So this is precisely what we did. We brought this entirely in the form of a qualified approach, like wherein a banker or an entrepreneur, he can just actually develop a proposal whenever, like if he is working in a particular sector, in a particular area, that particular model actually helps him to understand how to take into account climate related risks, how those risks physical, how they are translated into financial risks, and how those risks actually can be converted into opportunities in the form of a new business model. I think with that I would just like to conclude here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Apurva. I think many crucial points and the financial sector perspective. Of course, NABARD has massive portfolio of adaptation. And NABARD is also the national implementing entity for the National Adaptation Fund on Climate Change, as well as the GCF and the Adaptation Fund as well. So thanks very much for sharing your perspective. I'd like to now turn to Sandeep Roy Chaudhary, who's actually doing a lot of very interesting work on markets, on carbon markets. So how do you convert, and especially focusing on voluntary carbon markets. So Sandeep, it's up to you.
Thank you. I wouldn't take too much time because I actually have a flight and I might have to run. But just a quick thing. I represent the carbon markets. It's the voluntary carbon markets. There are two different kinds of carbon markets. A lot of you I see are from the Forest Department. You would have heard about CDM and how it does not work. And that is typically something that is a remnant of the 2012 era, where there was this misconception that carbon markets don't work because there is no demand. But the thing is that what we have been trying to do is there is demand from the voluntary markets. Voluntary markets meaning there is a company, and today you are hearing net zero from countries. We've been hearing net zero from companies. Compensate for. And when you need to do that, you need to buy carbon credits and also finance programs which are to give you carbon credits. It's a very simple mechanism. It basically incentivizes anybody who is reducing carbon emissions to continue doing that by providing a monetary benefit. We keep talking about ecosystem-based payments. This is one of them. This is one of the purest form of result-based financing that exists. And it is for a very, very long term. As an example, one of your neighboring states, Punjab, has an agroforestry program where farmers have been given saplings by the Forest Department. This is registered as a carbon program, and these farmers are going to access in excess of about 100 crores over the next 10 years just based on carbon credits alone. So it is a market that is quite vibrant now. It is a market that will do well. Why will it do well? Because of if we had 20 companies having carbon neutrality and net zero targets, you could easily into 40 right now with that kind of number. And this is globally, it's happening in India as well. So that's the market that I'm talking about. Obviously, there will be a compliance market as well, which is basically based on something called Article 6, and your erstwhile CDM will transition into that. We are all headed to Glasgow, we'll see how that happens. But regardless of that, there is this revenue stream that needs to be tapped. It is climate finance in a very different way. It is not a grant, it is not a debt, it is just a result-based payment. And if I look at Uttar Pradesh and what could be done here, I was talking to Mr. Tiwari yesterday, he said what could be applicable here. All kinds of programs, let's not get stuck on only plantation. Plantation is just one of the programs that can access carbon credits. From something like what your neighboring state is doing, our system of price intensification, an SRI program also can take carbon credits. A biogas program can, any clean cooking program can. We talked a lot about crop residue burning. If you stop that, there is a carbon credit that you can provide to the farmer. And not just for 1 year, for the next 10 years. These are important things that can be worked on. The tie-in between carbon credits and black carbon is also happening, wherein rice husk, which you avoid from burning, can be pelletized and be fed into brick kilns, for example. In UP, you have a lot of brick kilns. And if you can transition them from straight line to zigzag and then use the residue as a fuel, you can earn carbon credits both at the crop residue end as well as the decrease in the coal end. So these are things that are out there. Just want to educate people that these are things, there is a substantial amount of financing that is going around the world on this. And this can be tapped, and I do think Uttar Pradesh is placed quite well because you have such a large regions, large population, you do so many different things, and things as simple as solar electrification, cocaine, solar rooftops for example. Anything with a mitigating angle will have a credit that has value. And I'm happy to exchange more ideas later in terms of where that value could be derived from. But let's not get fixated only on plantation is obviously the number one. But agriculture, plantation, energy, water, all of them have an energy nexus that can be tapped into. So I'll conclude there. Thank you, Ashish.
If the Uttar Pradesh government manages to plant 80 crore trees next year, what will be the... He has minutes. He has few minutes.
Actually, these are from CDM, that's a compliance market. A compliance credit will only be bought by a compliance buyer, and there is no compliance right now. Hence, it is very, very complicated. What I'm talking about is the voluntary market. The compliance market is also going to come. It is in the works right now because countries have to because we ended Kyoto Protocol in 2020 and now we're getting into Paris era. But this is complicated but can still be done. In fact, I had a discussion with Terry on that. I will inform you separately on that.
This is a very interesting field, in fact, and lots of thought process comes up by voluntary credits you are talking about. Suppose, personally, I buy a EV, will I get carbon credit if I replace my petrol car? Or I install a solar rooftop project in my house, will I enter a voluntary market? It is not compulsorily, but I will have some credits for it.
Power, the carbon credit is much less. If it's using solar power, it will be high because it's a comparison between your fuel feed versus what you have changed.
I think it's fine. There have been several questions and of course very interesting data.
May I ask one question?
Sir, the आखिरी question.
Okay. Our forest department is having a huge forest in UP. Can we calculate this CDR credits for and it can be marketized?
Yes,
our forest and forest as well as agriculture field.
All of it can be quantified, can be certified, needs to be certified. Please stop referring to it as a CDR. CDR came from CDM. You can call it an emission reduction unit or a VR. All of that can be quantified, certified,
and bought. We are one of the buyers. We also buy. So the whole thing is, there is a mechanism there. It just needs to be tapped into properly. But yes, it has to be certified and it has to go through the entire process of certification. That's about it. Of course it can be monetized. I mean, and his question was, Uttar Pradesh is starting this many things. In my opinion, they have to monetize this because there's a lost opportunity here.
Yes, yes. That's what we are.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for very fascinating insights. Very interesting, lots of interest because there has been a lot of foundation in the state. And my question was precisely going in this direction. If you have actually planted so many trees, how many you actually have monetized? Have you been able to monetize any of the emission reductions? There are fairly straightforward methodologies. So, of course, leading some of these initiatives, I think it would be great to actually have an actual conversation later to see how things go. But we should continue in the same way. क्योंकि हमारे जो प्रदेश स्पीकर हैं जिंदल साहब, who is the additional MP of UP Forest Corporation, वो भी इसके बारे में बात करने वाले हैं और फॉरेस्ट सेक्टर के बारे में ही बात करने वाले हैं. सर, over to you.
Thank you, Chairman sir, and moderator sir. Respected senior officers, distinguished gathering, all of you. In fact, इस सेशन में जो बातें चल रही है कार्बन फाइनेंसिंग की, जो हिंदी के लिए बताया, यूपी ने काफी इसमें काम पहले भी किया है. हमारे ऑफिसर ने भी बताया कि 27,000 CER हमको इशू हुए थे. इनफैक्ट 2 मैकेनिज्म हमारे फॉरेस्ट के हैं इस CER जनरेट करने के लिए, जिसमें हम लोग आते हैं. वन इज द फॉरेस्टिंग थ्योरी and the second one is the revision on the degradation and deforestation. That is red plus. And one very, before I tell you within 3-4 slides the entire gambit of this, what has actually happened and what should be done, I'll just congratulate and this brochure is the event carbon footprint that will be published by this conclave organizers. And it says about 17 tons of CO2 emission is supposed to be generated through this conclave. And 46,000 trees are to be planted to mitigate the emissions. Number one. Number two, they have also referred the Miyawaki plantation on this. Right? So that means, conclave, we all recognize the use of the plantations to mitigate the carbon changes or the climate changes, and then to offset the emissions of carbon CER. So going to that, in UP, can move to the next slide please. In UP, about when we ended this data funded project in the state, we have got the institution called as the Joint Forest Management Committee, which manages the forest in collaboration with the Forest Department. That is all community-based management of the forest on a sustainable basis. Now, in this project, in 10 districts, this project of the ARCDA was taken up by this project. And next, and in these about 1.33 lakhs tons of carbon dioxide to be, sequestered to this forest management in the area which qualifies for the CDM, not the entire area to be qualified as the CDM process. It has been analyzed for the last 10-year cycle through GIS using the various techniques. So the area qualified for this CDM was about 5,000 hectares. I mean, that's about 1,000 hectares. Partially about 2,000 hectares, 23,000 or 27,000 CERs were issued by the UNFCCC, that is the international body which issues the CERs. Now, while developing this project, there were various challenges being faced. In fact, the challenges were the community organizing, the capacity building of the community, and the role of the managers, how they are trained, and the process for the CDM, what Sandeep was doing, is very, very cumbersome. And when you go for marketing of the CER, it's a compliance-based market, as Sandeep was saying. And in compliance-based market, buyers are very little, and it's a very tough process to sell out the carbon CERs in this market. And it's all community-based approach. Unless you do not involve the community for developing this project, you cannot earn the CER. This is a very, very simple thing. And moreover, when you start a project, of CDM or in the Red Plus, there has to be preparedness 1 year before. 1 year before. Not less than 1 year. If you do not comply with the preparedness and inform the UFPC and start the activity and then inform the UFPC, you will not be issued CER. So preparedness, capacity building is one of the most important things for the generating the finances to start. And of course, the area that is showing this transparency is those areas which are to be qualified for this serial process is basically open area for us. Open, where you can do the parking activities. Now, if you want to generate the CER from, let us say, moderate to dense forest, where you have dense forest, because we all know that carbon dioxide is the major greenhouse gases, which is to be absorbed by the plants. And my stock is, my forest stock is growing, it is absorbing more and more carbon dioxide. I can, use this absorption of the carbon dioxide from my forest and CER will be issued by the government. And that involves from a sustainable forest management, then becomes RED plus management. So it's simple. So if you want to develop the RED plus project, if you want to do the RED plus project, we have to start the preparedness, start developing it, and we get to prepare the area. Next please. Next please, wait. Yes. Now coming to RED plus. RED plus is a financial again incentive we have, and then there are gone to the net surfing, it says that about 418 projects are there in India, only one project. That is in Khasi. I don't know, there will be some more projects in India. So, looking at the forest where we have got the Lakhimpur area, Dudhwa, and so many areas where we have got the dense forest, very dense forest, and of course moderately dense forest, we can develop RED plus projects. And training कर दिया, and we have, but we have to again get mechanized. RED plus one. So this is one. As far as getting that device is already on the way to go. So this is done by training. So the market is there, challenges are there, and of course the market is volatile market. This goes up, goes down. 2 days back, one of my IT friends was telling me that the carbon credit rates are ranging from $1 to $8. And they said we can buy within $4.5. Yeah, 2 days back. IT conference coming forward to this. So this is one. And you can take a very good example. We can take a very good example. One is that Indore example. In Indore, what we have done? In Indore, by reducing the emissions by Nagar Nigam, they have around 8.5 crore rupees. And that is the million in that. So this is, the market is there, we have to only simply act and plan and utilize. Utilize करके अपने आप को कर सकते हैं काम. इस काम को हमें करना चाहिए. और ये हम लोग मेरे से करते हैं. हम ये all fully capacitated and कर पाएंगे. And इसका सक्सेस मंत्रा क्या है? सक्सेस मंत्रा बस वही है जो सामने बनाया. 1 साल पहले तैयारी करना, आइडेंटिफाई करें, हम अपने आप को प्लान करें और रूल ऑफ मैनेजर को तय करें इसको क्या करना है और कम्युनिटी कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग को करना. आगे पहला हमें काम करने जा सके फर्स्ट स्टेप, एंड देन वी हैव टू रियलाइज द थिंग्स. अपने आप की स्ट्रेटजी वाले को इम्प्लीमेंट करें, आप इस समाज के अंदर ये हमारा सबसे दूसरा हमारा चाहिए था. ये मेरी अपनी सोच है और इसको अगर आप प्लान करें, हम लोग प्लान करें तो वी कैन डू इट. एंड नाउ इन मार्केट फॉर मी टू माई पर्सनल नॉलेज वी वॉलंटियर मार्केट. Voluntary market is only best thing for all. So every time हम तो हमें बात चल रहा है, आपके साथ बहुत अच्छी बात है. और this is my all wishes, and today is my last day of my service. I am rallying today to celebrate that to take you well. All the best. Thank you.
It's the last day of your service, please.
बन रहा था तो ये बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है कि यहाँ मतलब नहीं कर सकते और कोई वहाँ पे यूरोप और श्रीलंका से शुरू टू इंडिया ऑल ऑफ अस एंड आई वुड लाइक टू एम्प्लॉय सिमिलर ऑप्शंस and we will go with us in that. Only we are the first one in the government forest where we are the sea. Government forest. Yes. 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 Yeah. Southeast Asia we are the largest government forest. And because of this only we are having problems also and we are falling और वो एक हमारा बाकी से
Okay, this would have been the right moment to close, but we have one more speaker, and he is available virtually. So Rohit, please connect to Rajesh Miglani, who is a senior environment specialist at the IFC, the International Finance Corporation. Rajesh, please go ahead. Rajesh, over to you. You can start. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. उनको अनम्यूट करना पड़ेगा इस म्यूट रोहित
हेलो 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 हेलो
So he's having trouble with his microphone, so maybe we can proceed. So can you hear me? So he's having trouble with his microphone. Yeah.
Alright, well, so unfortunately Rajesh is struggling with the microphone chale pa raha hai. So we will actually close the session. I'd like to ask you to give the panelists the short round of applause.
Sir, please, sorry to interrupt, please try, sir. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Please, sir, continue, please.
And yeah, so this is very interesting session. There's a lot of interest on the topic of finance, of course, markets, which is obvious. Regarding the other lots of people are interested in thinking about what kind of financing can come for environmental initiatives as well. So I think that's very good. With that some note, I'd like to close this session and again thank my panelists. So over to you to share for this session.
Thank you so much. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. So that was the last session. And with this session, we close the entire conclave. It's been a fantastic two-day conclave, UP Climate Change 2021. To present concluding remarks towards the conclave, I take this opportunity to call on stage, request the gracious presence. Alright, so I request the gracious presence on stage of Mr. Manoj Singh, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Environment, Forest and Climate kindly present and put forward concluding remarks to the conclave.
We never thought that so much of participation, so many people will jump on the bandwagon, and we still have queries unanswered. We said emphatic no, it's too late, we cannot allow you. People are crazy about participating in this. You must have seen when the if any virtual speaker was joining, there was lots of inclusion to join this meeting. So, it's all a great event. From here forward, we are leapfrogging into a new paradigm shift. And that is another pedestal. From henceforth, everyone will talk about climate change. And what we have done today is we have sensitized, galvanized all departments, all stakeholders, all collaborators to think about it, make a psychological revolution in their thinking, and definitely this will produce result as we have conceived. It all started with Honorable Chief Minister and Honorable Justice Goyal participating in the first session. Honorable Chief Minister was so emotionally involved in his speech. He made an ethical appeal. He talked about the various progress which has been done in 4.5 years in UP with regards to solar development, with regards to Namami Gange, with regards to Jal Mission, with regards to your Ujjwala Yojana, and of course, he addressed the issue of climate change. That shows the commitment, and we reciprocated it with the standing ovation. Justice Goyal came one day before. We had a small meeting with a bureaucrat and a dinner one day before starting, and we sought out lots of issues and we pointed lots of things to him with regards to the bureaucratic constraints in implementing NGT orders. And he also realized that everyone has to fight this joint battle together. The first session was, we had Himanshu Rashid Khan and Manmeet Singh and Anant Kumar Singh and Justice Rathore and Justice A.K. Singh chair headed by Justice Goyal, with regards to contribution of law, how can law, legislation, enforcement can help us to realize the climate change mitigation target. And it went very well. There was beautiful solutions. The Climate Change Act of New Zealand has come. There was how to enforce these laws. Even our air law, forest law, and water law, which are prevalent today, there also there are provision of enforcement of climate change rules. Then we started with regards to decoding, going into the deep of science of decoding 1.5 degree. Anjan Prakash, Ritu Mathur, Rajiv Kumar, Soumya Bhattacharya, Akhilesh Gupta, all of them participated and contributed. We started with the technical session 3 yesterday, where I was also there, and then later on Mr. Avnish Avasthi also joined, and there was a good presentation. We had issues like decarbonization of power sector and decarbonization of transport sector, green hydrogen and green energy. With regards to integration of CCA and DER, where speakers were, it was headed by Mr. Sunil Pandey, and I was not in the session, but it went very well, I am told. And there was a presentation in the evening by Mr. On wood is good, wood is good. So that also, I suppose, was appreciated by plenty of people. Nature-based solution to climate change, plenty of suggestions have come, the rapporteurs, and we will go through all the details of what has been suggested, and we will definitely look into what are the short-term measures and medium-term measures and long-term measures that we can use for it. Today morning session was exceptionally good on green, sustainable lifestyle and carbon footprint, and lots of thinking, lots of new knowledge was there in form of Madam Vandana Sehgal's speech or Mr. B. Suresh from Basel, and then it was again, it went to, we joined with Honorable Sri Ravi Shankar, Art of Living, which was also a very auspicious and productive occasion for us. So, what I'm trying to emphasize was that every session has a celebrity, and every session has a deep meaning into it. It has thrown us, it has emboldened us with lots of tools, techniques, new thinking, which we can enmesh and make a good policy in the future, implement those policies in letter and spirit, and see that next 10 years, which is crucial for us, is not wastage. We will have a focused approach towards climate change. Research, knowledge and information, again, dissemination was excellent, and we had Abel Kumar Foundation, Julia Barrott, A. Ramachandran, Ram Kumar, and Dhamcha Karwati and E.K. Gosai in that session. Establishing coherence between air pollution and climate change, challenges, opportunity and future prospect. Mr. Rathore was supposed to chair this session, but he was busy politically. Ashish was there. We made a brilliant presentation on air pollution. Mr. Mukesh Sharma, Navdeep Renua could not come, but he sent a representative and he told us how decarbonization is taking place in the transport sector, especially the road transport organization. Mr. A.P. Maheshwari, Nanda Sachdeva, Atri, and Justin Nagar, all of them contributed. We were again delighted by our media session with Mr. Navneet Sehgal coming in, adding a value to the session, and we had excellent speakers, especially chaired by our Sudhir Mishraji, who's an environmental journalist, I would say, and he believes in was focused, and it will emerge definitely, which will be called environmental journalism, which is need of the hour. Because now our journalists will be sensitized, and if they raise the micro level issues, bring to us these issues, definitely the thrust of the programs will flow in that direction. Then, lastly, we had a session on addressed by our CEO of Niti Aayog, Amitabh Kanji, who is a very good orator, and he suggested 3 very valuable points to us, which we have noted it down, and we will follow and try to frame something on that. What is step forward? There was always points and counterpoints being discussed in the gallery. And one of the points was this kind of conclave conferences and giving good suggestions, bringing a good volume of books, but nothing happens. But ladies and gentlemen, I will assure you, things will happen, things will move. What we have decided is, after publishing this, we will create a sort of a small movement to generate confidence in the people, to educate them, and the first step would be adoption of solar technology and e-vehicles, because we believe that opportunity of UP is to have solar rooftop. We have a potential of 4,000 megawatt, and we haven't realized that. If we go and make a mass movement, just like Germany, what Germany was doing, and if people adopt it, because they have finance to adopt it, they have capability to adopt it, we have a subsidy scheme. So if we create a movement involving schools, other stakeholders, media, and generate awareness and generate some ethical awareness so that they come forward and adopt it, definitely there will be a sea change. Similarly, adoption of e-vehicles is another area where we have to do a lot. And our Honorable Chief Minister already told that we have to create a nursery of 100 crore plants. And we will do it. We will do it. And not only do it, we will plant it also one day. So, it's a great message for us. Lots of people on initiatives, personal initiatives, they came and attended this conference. And we had experiences from micro level to mega level. We had all sectors, people participating in it. And so, 360-degree viewpoint we have got. Now, what we have to do is to coax and cajole our target group to adopt climate change measures. And if we succeed 10% also in first 6 months, this will be a great hit. And I would like to share you that this conclave has enlightened us that we should come up with a similar conclave at the same time in next year and make this a recurrent feature in our policy. And we can say climate change Lucknow chapter, so that when the climate change Lucknow chapter says something, propounds something, suggests something, not only India hears, world hears us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for extending your concluding remark. Before we close the session formally, there's a beautiful clip on the Bundelkhand region. So I request the concerned person at the console, can we have the audio visual on the screen, please?
भारत के लक्ष्य में खास पहचान हुए बुंदेलखंड, जहां रानी लक्ष्मीबाई आधा उदय की वीर गाथाएं आज भी गूंजती हैं। जाने कितनी ही बार वीर बुंदेलों ने अपने प्राणों की बलि देकर मातृभूमि की रक्षा की। मगर एक वक्त ऐसा भी आया जब साहस और शौर्य की धरती बुंदेलखंड बूंद बूंद पानी को तरस गई। इसके पीछे एक बड़ा कारण वैश्विक जलवायु परिवर्तन का है, जो आज भी केवल भारत ही नहीं बल्कि पूरे विश्व के लिए बहुत बड़ी चुनौती बना हुआ है। उत्तर प्रदेश वन विभाग बुंदेलखंड में अपने विभिन्न भागीरथी प्रयासों से इस क्षेत्र में खुशहाली लाने के लिए निरंतर प्रयासरत है। इसी कड़ी में नेशनल एडेप्टेशन फंड फॉर क्लाइमेट चेंज NAFCC योजना में संयुक्त वन प्रबंध समितियों द्वारा वृक्षारोपण, पक्के एवं मिट्टी के कच्चे चेक डैम बनाकर मृदा एवं जल संरक्षण कार्य, कृषि वानिकी, हॉर्टिकल्चर, चारागाह विकास, औषधीय एवं सघन पौध के रोपण, वर्मी कंपोस्ट का उत्पादन, जैविक बाढ़ का विकास जैसे कई सारे क्लाइमेट रेसिलिएंट कार्य कराए जा रहे हैं। इस योजना को बुंदेलखंड में कार्यान्वित कर उत्तर प्रदेश का वन विभाग बुंदेलखंड के लिए एक नया सवेरा लेकर आया। आज ये क्षेत्र पानी की पर्याप्त उपलब्धता के साथ साथ खुशहाल होने लगा है।
पहले जो पानी के लिए किल्लत थी, जो पानी के लिए लंबी दूर जाना पड़ा, और पानी के वजह से, पानी ना होने की वजह से लोग जो किसान खेती नहीं कर पा रहे, वो सब अभी वापस जुड़ होके पूरे कम्युनिटी जो है खेती करने में आजकल विश्वास रखते हैं। उसकी इर्द गिर्द उनकी टोटल इकोनॉमी आज के डेट में चल रही है।
तालाबों के आसपास के कुआं रिचार्ज हो रहे हैं। इस परियोजना के अंतर्गत उत्तर प्रदेश वन विभाग जंगलों में चेक डैम बनाकर सराहनीय काम कर रहा है।
पहले भगवान की ओर के आदमी को जल चढ़ा भी मिलाने का, नहा भी मिलाने का, हम लोगों को पानी नहीं है। अभी तालाब में हम हो गए नहा गए अपना देवी को जल चढ़ा, और इस घर में 1000 आदमी आपका बनाया
या अपने बंधन से इतनी बड़ी काम नहीं कि दो घंटे एक घंटे करते तो दो घंटे करते, और जो पानी ले लो तो हो के पानी पी।
मृदा एवं जल संरक्षण के लिए विभाग ने परियोजना क्षेत्र में अनेकों संरचनाएं निर्मित की हैं। इन चेक डैमों के बनने से बरसात के सीजन में जहां पानी के साथ मिट्टी नहीं बहेगी, वहीं पानी का संरक्षण भी होता रहेगा। इससे क्षेत्र में लगभग 15,000 हेक्टेयर प्रत्यक्ष रूप से तथा परोक्ष रूप से लगभग 50,000 हेक्टेयर क्षेत्र में भूजल स्तर का संतुलन बनाए रखने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है। इस परियोजना के क्रियान्वयन से लुप्त हो रही जलधारा का जलकुंड बनाकर पुनर्जीवित करने एवं सौर ऊर्जा चलित पंप द्वारा सिंचाई एवं पीने हेतु पानी उपलब्ध कराने से स्थानीय बाशिंदों के रोजगार की संभावनाएं बढ़ी हैं, जिससे क्षेत्र के लोगों के पलायन में कमी आई है। ग्रामीणों द्वारा लेमन ग्रास, अरंडी, जंगली तुलसी जैसे औषधीय सघन पौध की खेती कर अधिक से अधिक लाभ पाने के लिए फार्मर्स एंड प्रोड्यूसर्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन FPO द्वारा विपणन करना प्रारंभ कर दिया है।
मैं वन विभाग की इस परियोजना का बहुत आभारी हूँ।
संयुक्त वन प्रबंध समिति पौधशालाओं की स्थापना कर बहुउद्देशीय पौधों का उत्पादन करने के साथ साथ केचुआ खाद का उत्पादन कर रहे हैं, जिसे बेचकर विलेज डेवलपमेंट फंड में धनराशि जमा कर रहे हैं, जो भविष्य में ग्रामीणों के विकास कार्य में प्रयुक्त होगा। इस जलवायु परिवर्तन योजना के क्रियान्वयन से यहाँ के लोगों के जीवन स्तर में सुधार देखा गया है। वर्ष भर जल उपलब्ध होने के कारण लोग सब्जी की खेती, मछली पालन जैसे रोजगार परक व्यवसाय एडेप्टेशन एंड मिटिगेशन कंसेप्ट के तहत करने लगे हैं।
हमने वन विभाग से या एजेंसी से बना हुआ चट्टान या तालाब, उसमें हम मछली पालन के लिए 8,000 सालाना में लिए, जिसमें मछली पालन के तहत जो भी लाभ होगा वो एजेंसी में इसका प्रयोग होगा।
बुंदेलखंड क्षेत्र से संबंधित वन प्रभागों के सभी अधिकारी एवं कर्मचारी, अन्य राजकीय विभाग, संयुक्त वन प्रबंध समिति के सदस्य व ग्रामीण इस योजना को सफल बनाने के लिए पूरी निष्ठा से प्रतिबद्ध है। सरकार की इस योजना से स्थानीय जानवरों को पानी पीने, नहाने धोने आदि की अच्छी सुविधा हो गई है। वन विभाग का कार्य सराहनीय है। दूर से पानी लाने में पहले स्कूली बच्चे संलग्न रहते थे। अब पानी पास में ही उपलब्ध रहने से बच्चे पूर्ण रूप से शिक्षा ग्रहण कर रहे हैं और गृहिणियां अपना कार्य कर रही हैं।
वो बच्चे लगेंगे हम लोग को ये नाले में गड्ढा के पानी पिलाते थे। अब ये ऊपर पानी है कि हमारे पशु न पिलाने, आग न पिलाने, नहा जरूर पिलाने। अच्छी सुविधा सरकार ने विभाग के यहाँ से अच्छी प्राप्त की है।
पहले बच्चों से ही पानी भरवा देते थे, मतलब स्कूल ही बैठ पानी भरो आपको से पानी भरना पड़ता है। अब तो हम लोग पानी की हम लोग को समस्या कुछ नहीं है, हम लोग पानी तो भर लेते हैं और बच्चों को स्कूल अच्छी तरह से शिक्षा लेने के लिए भेजते हैं।
NEFCC योजना के तहत बुंदेलखंड क्षेत्र में उत्तर प्रदेश वन विभाग द्वारा कराए जा रहे क्लाइमेट रेसिलिएंट कार्य से केंद्र और राज्य सरकार की कृषकों की आय दोगुना कर आत्मनिर्भर भारत की महत्वाकांक्षी संकल्पना साकार होती दिखाई दे रही है।
So, congratulating the Forest Department for bringing about a change and बहुत ही so कहते हैं कि बूंद बूंद से सागर बनता है and all of you all have put in your magnificent efforts for all these years for bringing about this change and how fortunate we are and congratulating each one of you। आप सभी लोगों के प्रति भी हम आभार प्रकट करना चाहेंगे for making this conclave a huge success with your support all through and through। Also we have a little teaser जो हम यहाँ पे आप सभी को दिखाना चाहेंगे। We made a little teaser in collaboration with NGO। So एक बहुत ही प्यारा सा teaser है। I seen it earlier। So it talks about कर्मा। तो कहते हैं कि जो भी आप कार्य करते हैं इस जन्म में और वो उसका जो कर्मा होता है, कर्मा इज अ विशियस साइकिल जो आपको भुगतनी ही पड़ती है। सो अभी पृथ्वी पर है और मृत्यु के बाद जब सभी जाएंगे तो ऊपर वाले को भी कुछ सवाल जवाब होंगे, इनसे भी कुछ बातचीत होगी। तो जो कर्मों का फल है वही बताएंगे क्या है। तो इसी से हमने एक टीजर बनाया था रिलेटेड टू द सेम। वी विल रिक्वेस्ट द कंसर्न पर्सन एट द कंसोल टू प्ले द टीजर प्लीज।
ये हम कहाँ हैं? तुम चित्रगुप्त के दरबार में हो। यहाँ इंसानों के कर्मों का हिसाब होता है और तुम्हारे कर्मों के हिसाब से तुमको मिलता है नरक। पर हमने तो पूरी जिंदगी अच्छे अच्छे काम करे, हमको तो स्वर्ग मिलना चाहिए। बच्चा, स्वर्ग के लिए 100 में से 100 नंबर लाने पड़ते हैं, पर तुम्हारा स्कोर है 70। अरे हमारे 30 नंबर काय कर रहे? तुमने अच्छे काम तो किए, पर प्रकृति को तुमने कुछ नहीं दिया। प्रकृति ने तुमको फल फूल सब्जियां दी, तुमको सांस दी, बदले में तुमने एक पेड़ भी नहीं लगाया। तुमको कम से कम 300-400 पेड़ लगाने चाहिए थे, इसलिए तुम्हारे 30 नंबर काटे गए हैं। पर हमारी गलती हो गया हमसे, अब हम क्या करें? आगे जन्म में तुम और समस्त पृथ्वीवासी अगर स्वर्ग आना चाहते हैं तो खूब पेड़ लगाइए, वैकल्पिक ऊर्जा माध्यमों का इस्तेमाल कीजिए, बिजली व ईंधन की खपत कम कीजिए, पानी को बर्बाद न कीजिए। और हाँ, 28 और 29 अक्टूबर को इंदिरा गांधी प्रतिष्ठान गोमती नगर लखनऊ में यूपी क्लाइमेट चेंज कॉन्क्लेव में जरूर आइए। वहाँ वातावरण एवं जलवायु से संबंधित मुद्दों पर चर्चा की जाएगी। उसमें हिस्सा लीजिए और अपना जलवायु स्कोर अच्छा कीजिए।
Put your hands together, please, everyone. So that was a happy note, with a smiling face. We shall be walking away from the conclave tonight. Or as a person, as a human, I have a mission too now. कम से कम 300-400 पेड़ मुझे भी I have to plant them now because it's karma, right? Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a enthusiastic and magnificent conclave. Thank you so much for your participation. I request to present a vote of thanks calling on stage Mr. Ashish Tiwari, Secretary, Department of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, to kindly join us on the stage to present.
present a word of thanks.
I think everybody is prepared to go, but before thanking all the persons, delegates associated for this grand organization of this conclave, I would start with our guide and the person who has conceptualized this whole conclave and was working with all of us day in, day out for successful organization of this conclave. I extend my sincere thanks and heartfelt thanks to Sri Manoj Singh Sir, Additional Chief Secretary, Environment, Forest and Climate Change Department. He is the architect of this whole conclave, and this is a landmark event so far as the Department of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is concerned. Then coming to the whole of Forest Department, Environment Department, UP Pollution Control Board, all the officers, they work like one unit, and there were a number of committees like Stage and Session Committee, Organizing Committee, Steering Committee, Media Committee, Rapporteur Committee, all the members of the committees who have really worked hard for a period of about 1 month. I extend my thanks to every member of committee, including the senior officers of Forest Department. The special thank also goes to the senior most PCCS, Sri Sunil Pandey Saab, PCCF and Head of Forest Force, Sri P.K. Sharma Saab, Sri K.P. Dubey Saab, Sanjay Singh Saab, and the Forest Corporation. You were all time guiding us and helping us in sorting out all kinds of hurdles, etc. regarding this workshop. GIZ being the active partner of this workshop, and GIZ, you are doing good work with the state government in the field of environment. You are formulating a state action plan for climate change. It has been a long association with you, and this conclave has proven that this association will be even stronger in the years to come. So thank you so much, GIZ, and our organizational partner, Arthur De Little, PhD Chamber of Commerce, and Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much, मुकेश जी. आप बिल्कुल रात दिन इस पूरे जितना भी ये आज इतना अच्छा ये सब कुछ चला है, ये 2 दिन तक flawlessly, starting from the inaugural session, all the technical session has been flawlessly running, and you have cared for every participant. Thank you so much. The organization, Mukesh ji, or Radha ji, and all delegates of the commerce and our organizational side. Our media partners, it has been the top trend in social media and in all news media like print and electronic media. It was very, very highly covered and very sumptuously covered by all the media, the event. Even the micro details of event have been covered, and I think the message has gone to not to the national level but also to the international level through social media. It would be worthwhile to mention here that our hashtag was trending top in India for 4 hours yesterday. So again, the media team which was with us, thank you so much, and all the panelists who have come from various cities, and World Bank, our knowledge partners, World Bank, IIT Kanpur, IIT Delhi, TERI, and Swiss Development Agency. Thank you so much, all the knowledge partners. You have helped us in designing the sessions, providing us the panelists, experts, etc. So all the knowledge partners, thank you so much. And all the participants, particularly the startups and various departments who have displayed beautiful stalls somebody told me today that it was a very balanced kind of exhibition where small handicraft items ranging from jute to the very like state of art technology in air pollution or in climate change was displayed. So all the exhibitors like GAIL, Department of NEDA, State Disaster Management Authority, I'm just naming a few. There were more than 40 stalls in the exhibition. Thank you so much, Tata Motors. Thank you so much, Lucknow Metro Rail Corporation. And very importantly, in the last, like all the participants, without participants, this workshop would not have been such a successful event. Yesterday also, the conclave continued till 9 o'clock, and all the participants were very keen in taking up the ideas and new cues from this conclave. Thank you so much, all the participants, organizations, individuals. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So we shall conclude with the national anthem. Thank you so much, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us on all social media platforms for all updates. You just have to type @UPCCC21. सारी updates आपको वहाँ पे मिल जाएंगी event की और इस कार्यक्रम की. This is me, Sugandha, signing off. Thank you.